lords and ladies, my name is CrescentEmpress, and welcome to a very special episode of Ark. As I mentioned in my PSA, with version 258, I cannot play my PC Ark games right now. So I thought of a way that I could still give you guys some Ark content, and I would like to welcome all of you to Castle Valkyrie. This I built myself over the course of months and months. My friend Bob was very generous helping with a lot of the farming, but I did all of the construction myself. Literally, months of work. I'd like to take you guys down to the people portion of the compound first. This was the kind of final consideration in the project, because I wanted my aviary and the very special facility on top before I worried about people requirements at all. I'll show you guys where the people did their thing on our way back up the mountain. And as we're passing, this is Sylvia. I have always had a thing for albino carnos. My first carno was an albino, and he's no longer with us, and I'm just sad about it like every day. Every time I think about it, I'm sad. But since then, I've had a thing for albino carnos. But the way I had it laid out, I just basically had a separate room for all of the different, components of what you need to have your life in Ark. I never got around to the industrial forge in this game, and I'm not sad about it. Like, I have it on my other games, and it's an eyesore. I don't know why it has to be that big. It's ridiculous. Let's see here. And I had logout rooms for, this one was my sister's. She didn't play for very long, but I'm hyper-organized. I like to have a specific spot for everything, including the carcasses of my friends. This was Bob's logout room, and you can see this very nice. He logged out directly on his bed, right where I want him, because I'm very... the organization, you guys have seen the kind of organization that I like. Then this room was going to be for storage, but I hit the build cap. I changed my mind halfway through because I hit the max structures in range limit. So what I ended up doing instead was putting a couple of vaults up here, which I am noticing, I know this happened, but this is the first time I've actually seen that they resized the vaults to something reasonable. Look at that. Like, it's not a gigantic eyesore anymore. I love it. Great change. Because there was no reason for it to be 4 walls high. There just wasn't. Wildly impractical at best. That's what I thought. Okay, there's a reason I have a bunch of meat on me, I'm sure. Just bear with me while I remember. Make sure that the 2 critters in range of that are fed. And then there was the last crafting room over here. See, we had it set up for... It was an organized affair. Then I'll actually walk down the mountain here and introduce you to the others that are here. And I should mention that this is a kind of a skeleton crew. Most of my menagerie are at my other facility. Because before this all happened before the redwoods were ever a thing. And when they announced that the redwoods were going to be put here, they basically said everything here would be destroyed, pack up and move. And I was just heartbroken. I was so heartbroken. But I moved everybody to a new facility out by Red Obelisk. And I came here on the day of the Redwoods update, just kind of looking for closure that, my home was gone, just to move on. Only to find out that the top of Grand Peak was untouched. And my castle, as you can see, was still here waiting for me. So I moved home, but I left kind of non-essential personnel I left out at the Spire. Because it is quite a hike. Now bringing you down here, I'll introduce you to Zeus, my albino Rex. We tamed him about exactly where he's standing. It's actually funny, I decided I was done taming for the day, and I put down some of my supplies, and I was going to go farm, gather rocks and stuff, because I was still in the construction process, and I came down the hill and found this guy just kind of sitting here in the pillars. He's over level 100. I was like, well, I guess I'm not done taming for the day. Actually, it seems that instead I'm going to bring home an albino rex. And I did. So, and I do apologize that my animals are kind of bloody, guys. I had some server setting issues a while ago that I basically had to readjust all of the buffs on my animals. So they're regenerating a lot of health. And then I wanted just to stop over here for a second. In my mind, it's only fair. This is my graveyard where the animals that I have lost are. It's only fair, I think, that they have some place that I can come to remember them, because all of these were very special. I'll point out, just because I mentioned him in a story, Spectre, where we remember Spectre. Fucking CT. I will always hate Dodicaruses because of CT. And the other, what I just mentioned, Sylvester, was my albino Carno, my very first one. But when the center was released, I'd been playing on the island since the beginning, and when the center was released and I was getting ready to start a new game, one of the things I promised myself was that I would never need another graveyard. And so far I have been able to stick to that promise. Then I'm going to take you guys down here to meet the last large beastie. She lives at the bottom of the hill. She doesn't see much action, but she is extremely special to me. So, oh my god, with the yard work, I hate my community sometimes. The times that these people choose to do it's. Peek behind the curtains at 6 o'clock at night. Why are you out there with the fucking lawnmowers now? Shouldn't you have done that hours ago? Rage. Anyway. So you can see in front of you, this is Sekhmet. She is my Giga. She was one of the last accomplishments that I made before I just gave up and went full god mode. So she's very special because she was a huge accomplishment. Her buddy Ra lives out at the Spire. He became Bob's Giga. Ra ate me the first time we went to attempt to tame these guys. It was not great. But you can see she doesn't have a saddle. For obvious reasons if you've handled a Giga. We tamed these guys out actually at what became the new Snow Mountain. And during the walk home, I learned that Giga fall damage is much different than Sanity fall damage. Sekhmet didn't even fall. She didn't even fall. She stubbed a toe, and she raged and ate me. So, living here at Castle Valkyrie, she doesn't see much action because I mean, even with God mode, it's still going to take time out of my day when she throws me and starts killing everything in the immediate vicinity. Also, why she lives at the bottom of the hill and not near the other critters. But I love my Gigas. I have a one on the center, too. I love them. They are, Sekhmet will always be very special to me, but let's say that I have a healthy respect for the Gigas. But then I will take you guys back up here, and we'll take a slight detour. I'll show you where we actually did most of the work while I was doing all this construction. You guys can see just even from the pillars at the people facility that this was a huge investment of time, and the other pillars were a pain in the ass. You learn how to build from the back of a bird. It was a time-consuming pain in the ass, but worth it, I think. I mean, look at you guys saw the view down to the mountain. I'll just go back there now because I can. That is just... This was a huge pain in the ass to build, but I love it. I think it's just gorgeous. I'll take Joan back up here. Now, I should mention, when we get up to the top here, that this is not my eagle. I borrowed Bob's eagle because both of my eagles are very bloody from regenerating health and have the red tinge on the screen, and I wanted you guys to be able to see the aerial view. So I borrowed Bob's eagle, and I've always thought this was just incredibly clever. He named her Joan of Arc, and it just cracks me up every time. It's one of the better pet names for an Ark critter, I would say. But then, this is the outpost, where we did most of our work, while we were doing the construction. You have more carcasses of people that I have brought in. Yeah, since I invited them to my tribe, I'm assuming they're mine. Like, I've had friends in to, see the place before, but usually that's just, you know, a pop in for, you know, exactly this, a home tour, as it were. Let's not fall off the cliff, please. And bring her back into her rightful place in the aviary. And then I'll introduce you to, you know, the guys here. I'll come over here next because I made this mistake actually this season, when I was talking about Deimos and I accidentally called him Jax. This is why. This is Jax, my first saber. And until we tamed Loki in my current season, he was the only saber I had. But I love him. I love my kitties. And then over here we have our Quetzal. We have Shara, who actually has not seen that much action. By the time we finally tamed her, we really didn't necessarily need her. So she hasn't seen a lot of action, but we chased her all over creation. She was out by the iceberg, and we chased her literally all the way here. We finally dropped her in the forest at the bottom of the hill. That was a pain. But then over here, these are my eagles, a couple of them. Horus is my battle eagle. He is built to destroy. That is, you know, his important function. And Helen is my command eagle. It is from her back that I have mounted the greatest attacks I have ever launched in Ark. With the part of my menagerie that I will introduce you to now. I saved this for last on purpose because it's, at least in my mind, the highlight of the tour. You know, I was going to install an elevator here at some point, and I just never got around to it. Okay, guys, here we are. I'm going to open this door and introduce you to my greatest joy and passion in Ark. I'll just show you. These guys make me so happy. I would like to introduce all of you to my elite hunting team here. 25 birds strong. A lot of these guys I bred, but I won't introduce you individually to all of them. I'll spare you, even though I have stories about all of them. I kind of arbitrarily choose team captains for my squads. Charon is my team captain for my elite team here. I'll just show you guys a couple of these guys that are, you know, notable. Like, I have to introduce you to Prodigy. Prodigy was the first Dimorphodon I ever bred. I was scared out of my mind. I'd watched a lot of videos. I thought I was prepared. I was still so scared that I was going to kill this baby. I turned my phone off. Like, I didn't want to be bothered. I just wanted all of my attention right there, you know, on what I was doing. I did not leave her side the entire time. And actually, you can see behind her one of her sons, Hyperion, got most of her coloring. And there's a couple of these guys I'll take you to, since one of the other things on my channel is Outlast. I thought I would introduce you to a couple of my Outlast tributes. This is Mr. Minera. And in the back we have Walker, after Chris Walker, and Traeger. I got Outlast names just because. And then I will head up, and I'm again telling you, this is actually a skeleton crew. Most of my spare birds are still at the spire or at the boarding facility. I actually had so many Dimorphodons, I hit the tame cap, and when I did, I built a boarding facility out on the beach and took all of the Dimorphodons that I wasn't using there, coerced a friend into coming over to, I would unclaimed all of them and she claimed them, but I had the food troughs and all there, so I could keep them on a technicality. That was kind of the plot, and it worked out fine. Keep it together, Ark. But then, before we head, up to our final destination, I did want to come over here just for a second. I apologize about the glare, guys. Just look at the view from here. The view from Castle Valkyrie is so beautiful in my mind. It's like I look out over the landscape and it feels so peaceful. The way I've set up my games on Xbox, they are designed to be peaceful. I found that I enjoyed this game most when it was set up for relaxation and enjoyment. There is no stress or pressure here. The way I have done this, there is no challenge here. I come here because it gives me peace and pleasure. And this is a very special area. Let's see here, we'll pop up here just for a moment. Is that I'm trying not to introduce you guys to literally every Dimorphodon individually and tell you all of their stories, because all of them have stories. We'll just pop up here to some of our other housing, as it were. Just put up with the momentary lag spikes. We have just some of our other housing for these guys. Like I said, between my games on the island at the center, I have had literally hundreds of Dimorphodons. And when I go to give you guys my Scorched Earth home tour, because I need something to do while I wait for Ark on PC to be playable again, I'll be able to introduce you to a very, very special Dimorphodon. But I think you guys will get a laugh out of this, especially because when I take you guys to my Scorched Earth game, you'll be able to see how this has evolved. It kind of gives me a laugh because it's a little haphazard compared to the system I came up to later. These are the refrigerators for meat. This was my breeding room for the Dimorphodons. And my incubation room is a nice little mess, I would call it. I don't know if my game on the center is intact, but that's why I haven't mentioned it yet. Story for another time. This was my first attempt at an incubation room. Even with 5 air conditioners, it was still too cold, so I ended up just putting more campfires down and wedging another refrigerator into the corner. And it was a very haphazard affair. I learned a lot from it. By the time I started my game on the center, I had a much clearer idea. I think you get a kick out of this one too, because when I started breeding, there was no such thing as imprinting. I actually had to knock out this wall and put in a runway because of the walk imprinting, which is the biggest pain in the ass. I actually needed a walk space for my Dimorphodons, so I installed that here. Look over the edge here too and let you guys see the view. I still like the way the People Castle turned out. Like, the architecture on that, I'm just so pleased with. It's just beautiful here. Like I said, it's rare for me to find something that is so enjoyable. But this sanctuary, I hope you guys are enjoying this tour. This is this is an important accomplishment for my Ark career, and this is ultimately where I call home. On which thought, though, I will take you up towards the conclusion of the tour, which is, you guessed it, more birds. You know, a lot of these guys made up my original hunting team, and I have mostly retired them, but they stayed with me because they're very important. And I'll show you up top. We have just a couple to mention here. Oh, sorry, I'll just point out this girl here. I don't know why, but basically everybody I've ever brought into my game likes Margie best. She's like the fan favorite far and away for some reason. And then Bolivar over here got his name from the strain, and he is normally the bird I take with me to go solo hunting, because even just one of my birds is more than enough to kill most things on this map. Because I may or may not have buffed them sort of to the point of absurdity. Actually, I broke melee damage on accident, truth be told. I didn't intend to do that when I was trying to fix my server settings from the other mess. But, I'm not complaining. I messed that up on accident, but it messed up in my favor. Because, like I said, I'm not playing here because I want a challenge. I am playing on Xbox for peace and relaxation, and my game is set up accordingly. And I do want to mention Ice Queen, just because her story is kind of funny. It took us days to land her. The way that when Bob was in, we used to do it is he would trank the birds and take the heat, and then the ones that fell from the flock attacking him, I would follow behind and I would handle the tame. We were trying for Ice Queen for several days, and Bob really took it as a personal offense that she was so hard to bring down. He doesn't like her to this day, because she was such a pain for him. But ultimately, she did come home with us. And then on the table here we have my two favorite birds, if I can call any of them favorites. In the foreground here, Violetta was my first Dimorphodon in my own game. My first 5 Dimorphodons I actually had in a Friends Non-Dedicated. But Violetta was my first one in my own game. And the second girl I named kind of as a joke, I named her Empress, as she was the first bird that I caught with this color scheme, this black and gold, which, aside from a pure albino, black and gold is my color scheme of choice for these guys, because those are my colors. So, as a joke, I call her Empress. And that really does kind of bring us to the end of the tour of Castle Valkyrie. I hope you guys can forgive the fact that I can't get on PC and give you the super exciting, content that I normally want to present. But I did want to give you guys something, and I thought that perhaps I could open my doors and show all of you the place that I call home. So, in the meantime, if you have enjoyed, please take a moment to let me know, and do remember to join the court by subscribing. Until next time.